What's particularly insidious in Diddy's case is the way the media and public have sensationalized the ways of his alleged abuse, transforming it into a spectacle. The term freak-offs, the imagery of baby oil, the phrase "no Diddy" have become cultural shorthand for what many dismiss as just another example of a wealthy man living a debauched, freaky lifestyle. This framing turns abuse into entertainment. Hey, my name is Queen. Welcome to the MSVIXEN channel. Hey, boo, if you're new here, and if you're not new here, thanks for coming through. I appreciate you. I really, really, really do. At the time of the recording of this video, it is now the third week of the federal trial in which music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is facing serious allegations, including, can I say that? Trafficking and long-term abuse, with his former partner, Cassie, being the first witness during this trial. The surveillance video of Diddy assaulting her in an LA hotel hallway is chilling, undeniable, and yet somehow still might not be enough to guarantee accountability. He has since admitted that the domestic violence occurred, but his legal defense maintains that the was always consensual. That defense relies heavily on a cultural misdirection. The idea that because Diddy's behavior was unconventional, even extreme, it was therefore merely just freaky and not criminal. But the truth is, none of this is about being freaky. It is about power, coercion, and the absence of consent. This case illuminates the layers of protection afforded to men like Diddy through a culture of misogyny, the misunderstanding of kink and queerness, manipulation of consent, and the way power distorts accountability. These are some of the reasons Diddy could possibly still walk free, even with all of this on public display. Diddy's defense hinges on painting his preferences, group sex, voyeurism, and BDSM, damn, the algorithm is going to bury this video, but I have to say this stuff, as inherently consensual simply because they deviate from societal norms. But deviation from the norm is not a crime. Lack of consent is. In fact, BDSM, group sex, and kink communities are often rooted in more rigorous consent practices than actual traditional vanilla sex, emphasizing principles like safe, sane, and consensual, and risk-aware consensual kink. These frameworks are widely reinforced within the kink spaces supported by research, highlighting how consent negotiation and the ethics are central to these practices. So things like safe words, aftercare, and boundary settings aren't just suggestions, they are the standard. And when done ethically, kink is built around mutual respect and explicit agreement. Within these communities, consent is often understood as informed, enthusiastic, specific, and revocable, a standard that far exceeds the assumption of conventional sexual norms. None of these norms, these BDSM kink norms, have yet to been expressed in anything that has been revealed in this trial. What is disturbing in Diddy's case is the alleged use of these frameworks to blur the line between desire and abuse. The narrative becomes he just into freaky stuff, not he used sex as a tool for domination and control. His financial, social, and physical power transformed these encounters from potential mutual exploration into performance under duress. The absence of enthusiastic consent and informed consent turns kink into coercion. The culture also plays into the long-standing demonization of queerness and normative sexuality. The implication that Diddy's queerness or sexual fluidity absolves him or complicates the accusations is both a distraction and a manipulation tactic with deep roots in how queerness has historically been weaponized, from legal persecution during the Lavender Scare to contemporary more panics over LGBTQ plus people in public life. Queerness has long been used as both a scapegoat and a shield. In this context, it's being leveraged to deflect from credible allegations of harm rather than to advance any genuine understanding of identity or liberation. Queer people are often painted as predators or deviants, a trope used to criminalize normative behavior and sustain state violence. This demonization can sometimes lead to over-policing, but in Diddy's case, it's being used strategically to obscure actual abuse. The possible queerness isn't the problem, nor is the sex. The problem is coercion without consent and the violence that so often accompanies it. There are queer and kinky people who engage in deeply respectful, affirming, consensual sex every single day. What Diddy is accused of isn't queerness or freakiness, it's an abuse. Consent doesn't exist in a vacuum. Age, money, fame, and emotional control deeply complicate what it means to truly say yes. Diddy, a multimillionaire with decades of influence, is not on equal footing with the women and men he's been accused of abusing. Many of them were significantly younger, less powerful, and dependent on him financially or professionally. When one person holds the keys to your career, home, public image, and even physical safety, your ability to say no vanishes. That's not consent. It's survival. Also, when you add trauma bonding, manipulation, isolation into the mix, the power dynamic becomes even more terrifying. Like many men before him, Diddy used his status to control and intimidate. And our culture's failure to understand how power distorts consent is why so many people still act. But why didn't Cassie leave? Why didn't any of these alleged victims leave? Part of what makes Diddy's defense so insidious is how easily it slides into the well-grown grooves of rape culture. We've been taught to question women's motives, to scrutinize their behavior, to wonder what we're wearing or why they stayed. This isn't a new story. It's a very old one. And it's a cultural reflex to blame women or queer people for men's violence while excusing the violence as passion, rough sex, or simply a misunderstanding. The normalization is what allows someone to say with a straight face that while the abuse was real, sex was still consensual, as though those two things can live side by side without contradiction. But the moment someone fears for their safety, their career, their life, consent is gone. Yet, here we are, watching a powerful man test that very contradiction in court. What's particularly insidious in Diddy's case is the way the media and public have sensationalized the ways of his alleged abuse, transforming it into a spectacle. The term freak-offs, the imagery of baby oil, the phrase "no Diddy" have become cultural shorthand for what many dismiss as just another example of a wealthy man living a debauched, freaky lifestyle. This framing turns abuse into entertainment, drawing attention away from the reality of what is happening. Instead of asking what happened to these women or how is abuse being normalized, the conversation becomes, wasn't that wild? Or can you believe Diddy is into that? This is dangerous. Almost paradox reaction, one that illustrates how the culture of celebrity allows abuse to be overlooked as long as it can be packaged as entertainment. When something becomes meme-worthy, trending on social media, or fodder for a viral clip, the gravity of the situation evaporates. The serious nature of the accusation is reduced to a punchline. We've seen this with other public figures as well. R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, where the abuse is not only ignored, but glamorized to the point of becoming an addiction to drama itself. It's not just that the public looks the other way. In many cases, the abuse is actively consumed as entertainment. And this normalization creates a culture where men like Diddy can operate with near impunity, knowing the public will quickly forget or excuse their actions as a part of their brand. What's lost in the spectacle as humanity of those harmed, and their ability to seek justice is diminished by a culture that finds pleasure in the abuse it consumes. Diddy isn't just rich. He's a cultural embedded brand, a nostalgia machine. He's not simply a person in a public eye. He is a part of the culture. That's what makes it so difficult for him to be held accountable. Media coverage hesitates. Industry peers go quiet. Fans perform mental gymnastics to separate the man from the music. There's money to be made to keep Diddy innocent, or at least ambiguous. The culture of celebrity creates a protective bubble that shields men like Diddy from consequences that the rest of us would face without question. He's not the first. He won't be the last. From R. Kelly to Harvey Weinstein, we've seen how long it takes and how much evidence must pile up before the accountability seems possible. Despite the video, testimonies, and weight of allegations, I would love to be wrong, but Diddy may still walk free, because our culture has spent decades building a safety net for men like him, a net made of wealth, misogyny, rape myths, distorted ideas of consent, and a glamorization of power. This isn't just about Diddy. It's about a world where abuse is normalized and accountability is optional. Until we dismantle the culture that protects men like him, survivors will always face an uphill battle for justice. And predators will keep moving through the world untouched, not because they're innocent, but because the culture made it easy for them to get away with it. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. It's been a while. I know I have not been on YouTube since December. This is my first time posting on this channel in a year, which is wild. But I'm back to recording videos. I've actually been hanging out on Patreon a lot. I have a lot of things going on there. I actually write essays now. That's available for the public. Just become a member of the channel. You could be a free member to get access to those. Also other, paid access things on my Patreon. So just join me on Patreon. If you miss me and you want to see me more often, that is where I am the majority of the time. Join my newsletter. I release that, I would say, every month-ish. That's a lie. But I do have a newsletter if you want another way to keep in touch with me and see what I'm doing. I'm also on social media. I'm trying to be less on social media, but that is another place where you can access me and the work that I do. Yeah, feels good to be back. I hope you're happy to have me back. And as always, remember, you are a bad bitch. You are enough. Stay fly, and I will see you in the next video, because there's going to be another video. Later.